I know a lot of people talk about Ford versus GM, GM versus Ram. I think that GM is on the cusp of being the #1 truck in America. Ford has had that for what, 30, 40 years? And I think that GM can actually beat them. Now here's one thing you have to understand. Technically, GM is beating Ford in sales when it comes down to trucks, because if you combine Chevy and GMC, they have the most sales in terms of trucks. But I do believe that Chevy is a little bit closer than GMC. So if they just do this one thing, I truly believe they could pull away and actually beat Ford. But they have to do this, because let's talk about it for a second. What is the biggest complaint that you see about Chevy and GMC trucks? And not just really their trucks. Let's talk about Tahoe and Suburban. This issue does affect these SUVs as well. And let's kind of build up real quickly. So what are the strengths that GM has? Starting off with Chevy. Chevy is the price leader in the segment. There are some things I would like to see from them in the future, like for example, if you get a high country, massage seats, just things like that, twin panel. But regardless of it, even if it had those options, they would still be the price leader in the HD segment. Even when you look at the lower trim level trucks, Chevy still has the best pricing. And let's not forget, the way that GM packages their trucks is the greatest. For example, this is an LTZ. So you guys see right there, it does have a front camera and parking sensors. Premium lighting, which to no one's surprise does come standard on this second highest trim level. Now obviously if you want certain things, they are an option. Like this one has the bucket seats up front. That is an option on LTZ, but look at this LTZ convenience package for $1,815. You get that front bucket seats with the center console, ventilated front seats are there too, Bose premium sound system. This Trail Boss package was $1,525, and it gives you a lot of nice features in here too. Technology package gives you the rear camera mirror, heads-up display. Safety package gives you the front and rear parking sensors and the 360 camera view. It's just the way they package these trucks is really nice. And this truck is decked out, has just about every option you can get with the exception of the power deployable running boards. And it's $86,559. So if you're looking at a Ford truck, for example, if you were to buy that truck with the 5th wheel prep package, you would not get spray yet. The way GM does it, you see that 5th wheel prep package? $1,090, and guess what's in there? Spray and bed liner. Ram is my least favorite. If you're looking at a Laramie trim, you can probably add so many options to that truck. Like get it up to like $92,000 or so on a Mega Cab 3500 single rear wheel, and you still won't have 360 camera. And that's what I hate about some of these manufacturers. GM don't do that. And one thing I like about GMC is, because this is a more premium truck, a lot of things just come standard. For example, if you want premium lighting, comes standard. Like you don't have to worry about that option. It's already there, regardless of what trim level you get. And this Denali Ultimate is truly one of the greatest out there, right? This package gives you some things you don't even see on the Ram. For example, power steering column. Even on the half-ton trucks, you don't get that. And yes, they don't have the twin panels even for these, but you see the suede on the roof. They give it to you on the A and B pillars. The way that they design their trucks is so much better in my opinion. And I'll be honest, back in 2018 when they did a complete redesign on these half tons, the interior was so far behind, especially against Ram, because Ram just came out swinging that year when they brought out the 2019 Ram 1500s. And so GM wasn't ready for that. But regardless of it, back in, what was it, 21, 22, they did the refresh. They added the Denali Ultimate trim for the refresh, and they really stepped up their A game with this truck. 16-way seats with the massage function. You can adjust the bowstring, it has shoulder support, so that is something that's really been nice about these pickup trucks too. Now if you're thinking about towing, and let's just say you're not good at towing, they do provide these camera provisions. It's very rare that you don't see these on your trucks. Like just about every GM truck that I show has the camera provision. So if you want to put a camera on the back of your trailer, check. If you want to put a camera on the inside of your trailer, check. Those are already there for you. And one thing about the Chevy trucks is that fifth wheel prep package is slightly behind the axle. So when it comes down to clearance for standard bed pickups, these give you the best clearance, and they have the largest bed, which is the standard bed, and the segment. Also, when it comes down to the HD segment, if you would like the multi-pro or multi-flex tailgate, depending on Chevy or GMC, multi-pro is GMC, multi-flex is Chevy, they do have an option for the HDs to have that upgraded tailgate. Ford nor Ram offer that for HD segment. Also, GM was really first to really simplify the gearing on their trucks. When they brought out the 10-speed transmission, and even before this, they always just had either the 410 or the 373. That was it. Whereas for the other two, they offer multiple axle ratios out back, with the exception of the 2025 Ram trucks. But it's just easier to spec out their trucks, option their trucks. They give you a lot of nice features standard, and when you do add packages, the packages make sense. And this truck has a 342 rear, and guess what? Has an automatic locker standard. If you're looking at a Ford Super Duty, you have to option your truck with a locker. And if you're looking at a half-ton truck, these Silverado 1500s, Sierra 1500s have the automatic lockers too. Again, you still have to upgrade to get that locker. Ram on the 1500 side of things, they do have an option for the locker. On the HD side of things, you have to get an anti-spin, and that's all that's available for their trucks. And the crown jewel for the Sierra and Silverado HDs is if you're looking at 3/4 ton trucks, like for this one, for example, I should have pulled a key for this one. That truck there has a higher gross vehicle weight rating. They were first to do that. Ford does do that now. Ram does not. They only give you an additional 190 pounds for 2025 for that heavier transmission. But regardless of that, GM raised their GVWR to 1,300 pounds for 2025. Before 2025, it was like 1,350. And if you get a long bed, it's an additional 150 pounds. And one thing I like about that is it gives you better capacity, which is your payload, which is going to allow you to tow more if you want to stay within your gross vehicle weight rating. Now, with that being said, I done talked up the Chevy and GMC trucks so much, time to beat you down. All right, so here we go. What is the biggest complaint that you see with GMC and Chevy trucks and SUVs? The answer is the seats. Out of all the videos I've done on GM products, the main complaint that I get are these seats. And it doesn't matter whether it's a Chevy or GMC, they all are about the same. So when you are cross-shopping GM products with Ram or Ford or whatever brand really, GM is notorious for having stiffer seats. And I will admit, their seats are definitely the stiffest. I do not understand why when GM did their upgrade, or their refresh I should say, for their interiors, why didn't they just upgrade the seats? Because this was a big deal even before the refresh. And I've had friends complain about this. One of my buddies, I met him actually when I was still full-time RVing, Ryan. I met him on the road. He had a Ford F350 with a 7.3 gas. Some of you guys probably remember him. He has a YouTube channel too. But I remember he traded in his Chevy, or I think he might have had a GMC Sierra 3500 with the gas engine. I believe he had that beforehand, but he hated the seats and he hated the hood because he said you couldn't really see in front of the truck. So he traded that in on a Ford F350 with a 7.3 gas engine. I've also had a guy who bought the 2024 GMC Sierra 3500 AT4. He left a comment on one of my videos and said that he traded the truck in with less than 1,000 miles for a Ford because the seats were softer. Now, I didn't believe him. I says, where did you trade your truck at so I could see where it is? And to my surprise, he was not lying. He actually had a truck and he was on the East Coast in the Virginia area. And I actually fact checked him, and no, he actually traded his truck and it was a 2024. It had less than 1,000 miles because there weren't many used ones at the time when he traded it. So they had just came out with the refresh. And yes, this is a problem that GM faces, and it's a big problem. And I don't understand why they have not fixed this, because it's not just the stiffness of the seat. I personally like stiffer seats. I feel as though for me, and I mentioned this in many of my videos, I had a pillow top soft mattress and I was so excited because it was one of the first mattresses I actually spent some money on. And my wife and I, we got it home, and man, it was like sleeping on a cloud. A few months in, my lower back hurt like crazy, and I legit for like years just dealt with it. But when we moved and got our next house, I decided, hey, we're gonna use this mattress for our guest bedroom, and we're gonna just upgrade to a stiffer mattress. And when I say that I slept like a baby, and to this day I still have the same mattress, I still sleep like a baby. When I drive these trucks for long distances, I don't ever have that pain, that you know, that I guess that numbness maybe that people might get with a stiffer seat. They're actually great for me in terms of that. However, these seats are small. Like if I were to go to the Ford store and show you a comparison for the seats, these seats are smaller, and I feel like they're not as supportive down here on the cushions, especially for the Silverado trucks, because you don't have that adjustability for the bolstering up top here. So these seats are just a little bit smaller, and like I said, I think the support of them are just not that great, especially if you are longer legged. I'd like to see some thigh support. I don't know why that's not an option even on this GMC Sierra. They need to add that for their trucks. Like, it's a no-brainer. Toyota does the thigh support on the Tundra, and I think they probably might have the best seats for longer leg people. But as GM is talking about their updated V8 engine, whether it be the new 6.2 replacement or for both the 5.3 and 6.2 replacement, I hope and pray that they have read comments or that they've had the complaints come in regarding their seats, because Ram, in my opinion, has the best seats because they have a good hybrid between stiff and soft. Ford seats are too soft for me, which is why I have not pulled the trigger on a Ford truck. Their seats are too soft. I actually rented one for a couple days, and the first thing I noticed was my lower back. I started noticing I kept adjusting it on my ride. So for me personally, I do like the stiffer seat, but I think that they should make them a little bit less stiff for more buyers. And I truly believe that if they fix that, they could get more sales on their trucks and potentially pass Ford. Now, Ford is a hard competitor. They definitely are always innovating their trucks and making them better, but GM has done a phenomenal job from 2020 on, in my opinion. I took notice of it for sure. I noticed that their trucks have definitely come a long way. They've always been a great pickup, but really from 2020 on, they are just one of the best. Their styling, their interiors are top notch. And I'm pretty sure the other complaint I see a lot of, which is not a big deal in my opinion after owning several of these trucks, is the wax coating on the frame. I'm pretty sure when they do a complete redesign for HD and the half tons, you're gonna see that go away, because the Canyon and Colorados don't have that anymore either. They have the e-coating framing. So hope you guys liked the video. This was just something I kept seeing people leave these comments, and I figured I'd address it because I'm hoping that someone from GM watches this video and fixes this problem for the upcoming trucks, because if they don't bring their A game, like I said, they could get left behind like they did back in 2018, 2019 when Ford and Ram reintroduced their trucks as redesigned or refreshes.